How do you just support a child that's suffering from burnout when they're still burning embers of the dream, but they seem so fragile in the moment?
Mm.
Thoughts around that?
Yeah, that's delicate. It's a really sensitive issue, because ultimately they need to be given space, right, to either rediscover that love or to discover that that's the truth. It's just not there anymore. So giving your child the space and the respect and the tools to kind of go back to the self reflection. Create a list of questions that you can give them that, and I'm happy to help with this moving forward with any families that are interested. But I've dealt with a lot of players that have dealt with burnout, and it's a really tough deal. The thing that I would say that's the most important for parents is patience and space, not
Mm,
trying to force the situation to happen, and just really allow the uncomfortableness to be there. That to me is like the number one advice that I would say is would be at the top of the list, is just allow the uncomfortableness of the child to be there for them and for you. It's going to be uncomfortable for the parent too, but they have to go through the natural process of grieving that they may not be loving it anymore, grieving the idea of leaving their team with their friends, grieving the idea of maybe not fulfilling the dream that they ultimately wanted. There's a lot to process there. So really just operating from a place of respect and love and space, and trying to remove ourselves from injecting what we think is best, I think is super important. And
yeah.
it will uncover itself. It will either come back or it will fade away.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk at Soccer Parenting around boundaries in the coach-parent relationship. I do a lot of education for coaches around establishing boundaries when the door is open for a parent to go and talk to a coach, when it's closed. And one of the clear times that the door is very open and the parent should feel very encouraged to talk to a coach is when your child is struggling repeatedly with a sense of inspiration. So if you're afraid they're not going to keep playing, if they're having getting in the car repeatedly upset, like the door should be open to talk to the coach. So I would hope that you would feel like if your child is experiencing burnout, Katie, if your child does feel like they have a bad coach, and maybe they do, and the coach won't be receptive to having a conversation, but we need to feel like the door is open for the coach. This is where we want the coach-parent relationship to be
Yes.
collaborative in nature to really support ultimately our kids staying involved with sports, staying healthy, finding and developing a passion that will lead to a healthy adulthood. And sports matters to that. And so when our kids are struggling, and if they have a bad coach, if they're not feeling inspired, if they're feeling like they're getting to be a state of burnout, this is when the coaches and parents and clubs really need to work together to keep the kids involved.